Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to days 31 to 40 in my ARK Ragnarok adventure. If you haven't seen days 1 through 30 yet, I highly recommend you go back and watch those first so you don't miss anything. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. For the next 10 days, my main goals are as follows. I want to start building my boss army up, which means I will need a Tyrannus for that oh-so-important Courage Roar, a Daedon for its healing ability, and a pair of breedable Rexes to cover all the bases needed for a boss-killing army. As a secondary objective, I want to make a grinder which I can put all the loot I don't want into and get, essentially, free resources. Finally, I will need to build a breeding platform with air conditioners to make breeding and egg hatching a simple and trackable task while I'm off doing other things on the ARK. Also, I wanted to give you guys a quick heads up that I'll be replacing my headset I'm using to record my voice with an actual microphone in about a week. So the voiceover for the next video should be considerably better, so be sure to subscribe so you can listen to my lovely voice in much better quality. Alright, day 31. I've established the majority of my base by this point, so it's time to go out and tame some dinos, and the first on my list is a Tyrannus. I started collecting stone, wood, thatch, you know, the essentials needed for crafting dino gates for the trap. I also got my first fertilized tech parasaur egg from Gerald and Circuit after I had given them some time alone in the corner. I got to level 90, which means I can craft rockets for when I take on the lava golem on day 60, and I crafted a large bear trap to finish off my preparations for the trap. I checked the requirements for a grinder, and oh boy, that's gonna be a grind. And just like that, we were off to search for a Yudi. Of course, I had to check the loot cave first, and got a nice replacement for my hatchet, and that's about it. The search went into the night, and I eventually found one, but its level was way too low. I found another one whose level was also disgustingly low, so I decided to kill off the low-level ones. After searching the snow near my base all night and coming up dry, I decided to travel to the Murder Snow, which is the big snowy mountains in the center of the map, to try and find a high-level beauty, when I came across something very interesting in the morning. That's an Ice Wyvern, a variant of Wyvern unique to Rangarok and Valguero, which means there's a nest nearby with an egg. With that in mind, I moved in to kill the Wyvern and find the egg. After a short fight, the Wyvern fell from the sky, and I looked around for the nest. It wasn't too far off, and I snatched the egg. Even though it's a low level, I've never had an Ice Wyvern before, so this would be a new experience for me. I resumed the search, and after a long time, I found a worthy level 130 Tyrannus. I set up the trap in this little green area close to it, and set off to kite it into the trap. After many tries, it kinda got stuck attacking the gate, so I started tranking it, and randomly it just decided to go into the trap, so I quickly closed it up, and the beast was as good as mine. Except, it made me waste a lot of my trank darts because it started doing this weird spinny thing and just refused to stop, so this was altogether just a painful tame. It eventually went down after using almost all my darts, and I rushed to get some prime meat to feed it. I went AFK for a bit while he was taming, and apparently the recording stopped, but I had just stuck the Yudi into a cryopod and left for home to replenish my supply of darts. Oh, and I named him Big Floof, because he's a big chicken Rex looking thing.
So, you may notice my voice sounds a little different now, and that's because I'm using the new microphone I was talking about in the beginning of the video. I wasn't planning on this, but I had to wait a week to edit more because the headset I was using just decided to die and was literally hanging on by a thread. But no worries, I'm back in business now and the audio quality is much better. Anyway, I spent the rest of that day crafting up narcotics as well as gunpowder to replace my used trank darts. I also took Tanky out to get metal at night because I'm going to need a lot for that grinder. When I got back from collecting metal, I had to play metal hopscotch to get it into the forge because it weighed so much, and I realized I didn't have a way to get the Anki in here to directly drop it off, which would make metal trips so much easier. I have to fix that soon. After all the metal was transferred, I lit the forge up and left to get materials to make another trap, because while I was metal collecting, I spotted this beauty. A level 150 female Rex. She would be perfect to start breeding up a Rex army once I find a suitable male. Unfortunately, I had to end her existing partner's life because he would make taming her difficult. Once he had been sent to the Shadow Realm, I set up the same trap I used for the Yudi a decent distance away. But no matter how I led her into the trap, she simply would not go in. I think it's because a Rex is actually too big for this trap, which I had not considered. So I had to do this the old-fashioned way. Find a high cliff and get her stuck below me so I can just shoot her in the face. Eventually, she started running, and I gave chase. I delivered the final blow, and she fell. And you know the drill. Prime meat, narcotics, monitor torpor. In the middle of the night, she finally tamed, and I named her Arexa. If you didn't hear at the end of last video, I will be naming my boss fighting Rexes after subscribers, and right now I can only see 10 of your names, so comment if you want a Rex named after you for day 100. I named this one Arexa, and her mate will be a different name because they won't be fighting the bosses. Their children will be fighting them, and I will only be naming the children once they are fully mature, just to be sure they keep their names. I apologize if the volume is a little sketchy this video, but I'm messing with the microphone as I record this to try and find a good balance, so just keep that in mind as we continue. I came back home to find my metal already fully smelted because this furnace is amazing and absolutely worth the time it took to make it. I set out on Garrus with Tanky once again to start scratching resources off the list for the grinder. First up is crystal. There happens to be a very large amount of it inside the loot cave, so that's where we went. I wasn't sure how much Tanky could collect, but it ended up being quite a large amount. I got my loot and filled up Garrus with as much crystal as he could carry, and we were out of there. But when we got home, I remembered I didn't have a way to get the RGN upstairs, so I set out to fix that immediately. It wasn't perfect looking, but it got the job done, and I transferred the crystal. Yet somehow, I was still short, because this thing takes a stupid amount of resources. So I grabbed Garrus and Tanky again and set off to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. There's another cave in the snow that has oil rocks and a small amount of crystal, so I could cross both off the list. I was on my way out when I spotted a level 150 Daedon that would be a great addition to my boss team. I didn't want to let this one slip away, so I dropped Tanky off on a hill nearby and abducted the pig. The pig, being a very stupid dino, did not want me to abduct him and kept hitting Garrus all the way back to the trap, which he got stuck on the top of somehow, but I coerced him into falling into it. I quickly returned to the mountain with Bane and retrieved Tanky. After I got all the resources in the fabricator, I checked the requirements, and we were good on crystal and oil now. After a very long session of metal hopscotch, I got all the metal I had into the fabricator, and we are looking good. All we need now is polymer and cementing paste. Normally for polymer, I would use the organic polymer from penguins and mantis, but there's not enough slots in the fabricator to do that, so I would need to make actual polymer this time. I decided on getting cementing paste first, as I would need it for the polymer as well. So I went to bully the beavers again, but this time with a lightning wyvern. Yes sir, they did not stand a chance against my beam of righteous punishment. Once I had obtained the absolute motherload of cementing paste, I stuck it all in the fabricator. One more resource to go. It was at this moment I remembered the pig I abducted that I had just left in the trap, so I went to trank him out and start up his taming. Then I took Tanky out once again to gather up as much obsidian as I could carry to craft that polymer. I know you guys are watching this short video right now and thinking this is easy, but no, I took so much time and effort to get all these resources together, and my base is clear of enemy dinos in like a 5-mile radius now. I really hope this grinder is worth the effort since I've never actually crafted one before. Finally, I had everything together and crafted it, and there goes all my resources. I decided to demolish any temporary breeding area, as I would make a new one soon and place down the grinder. Alright, you guys are ready for this? Any items or bad loot you don't want that's just eating up storage space? Pop them in your homemade grinder and press this handy dandy button here, and BAM! That is actually quite a bit of resources. I think this was worth the grind. With my new materials, I crafted up some trank darts and ended the day by taking stock of the materials I had left and transferring them to my fabricator. In the early morning, I realized I'd had an oil pump while I was going through my storage, and I knew where an oil vein was from my many ventures into the snow, so I decided to claim the oil on the snowy hill for America. America! Fuck yeah! I hit the loot cave up again because I needed to replenish my stores of crystal now to start making air conditioners, which are a vital part of hatching eggs safely. Besides the crystal, I already had enough materials on hand to start crafting the air conditioners, but I was a little limited by the amount of electronics I could make as of right now. But don't worry, I have an idea to fix that problem. I also started crafting up all the things I would need to run power to the ACs, including a generator, wires, and an outlet. After much gathering with my resource dinos, I had all the necessary structures crafted to build my breeding platform, which I decided to make on the large flat rock opposite of my house. I thought this would be a good area to keep my boss-killing army until I needed them. After a bit of experimentation, I got this sort of circular shape that would work just fine. I took a break to gather more narcoberries for narcotics, because I was going to need more trank darts if I'm going to find Arexa a husband. When night fell, I finished crafting the railings for the platform and put them up as well. I made this stone box thing over here to keep my generator safe and closed it off. Then I grabbed the ACs and started placing them down. I had made quite a lot, but I was going to make more. In the morning, I had the tech parasaurs do their thing again, but this time, I watched. And I got another tech egg to test the ACs out. I put gasoline in the generator, and I set up some lamps so I could see the pad at night. Everything was ready to go, so I turned on the generator and set the eggs down. Thankfully, they immediately started incubating, so the build is a success. I crafted and placed down a feeding trough for the pad and filled it with food so any babies I left here wouldn't go hungry. Now might be a good time to explain my thinking on how to solve my electronics problem. See, normally you craft electronics individually with silica pearls and metal, but you can harvest electronics, scrap metal, and oil off of dead tech creatures. So I'm going to breed up as many female tech parasaurs as I can and breed them all with one male to get lots of tech babies, which I can immediately slaughter for electronics, metal, and oil. I know it sounds a bit barbaric, but think of it this way. They're not actually dinosaurs, they're just robots that happen to look like dinosaurs, that naturally exist for some reason. And we all know there's no harm in killing robots. Anyway, after a short bit, the eggs hatched, and I had the first 2 parasaurs to add to the breeding pool. I didn't want to name them because their only purpose is producing eggs for me. I brought Circuit over to help start the breeding process, but I forgot something about newly hatched babies. They automatically follow you when they're born, so when I left on Bane, they tried to follow. One was stuck behind the ACs, and the other was literally just chilling in the shark-infested waters below my base. I don't know why he wasn't eaten immediately, but I was grateful, so I picked him up and set them both to stop following me. I left the babies to mature and readied myself for the long journey of finding and taming a high-level male Rex. I made a new trap, darts, and took speed as I would have to traverse a lot of the map before I could find one. Before long, I was soaring through the skies searching for my prize. Halfway through day 38, I found him, a level 135 male Rex just wandering an open plain. I set up the trap so it was larger this time to accommodate the size of the Rex, and set off to kite him into it. I placed the last gate up and he was stuck. You already know what comes next. Darts, prime meat, narcotics, so forth. He finally tamed at night, and I named him Baby Daddy. I potted him up and left for home. Once we got back, I filled the feeding trough, threw out Baby Daddy, and crafted him up a saddle. I threw out Arexa, and the two hit it off immediately. I lined them up and let them get busy. I also lined up the Parasaurs for round 2. Arexa gave me my first fertilized Rex egg, and I threw it down to start incubating.
I set the new tech egg next to the Rex egg, and at this point it was a waiting game, so I decided to do something fun while I waited. I took Bane back to where he was laid in the hopes of finding high-level Wyvern eggs of any type to get a backup in the rare event that he dies. I found a lightning egg with the funny number, but it was definitely too low for me at this point. Then I found a bunch of wyverns together, which means an egg is nearby. Of course I have to kill them first, and to kill them I did. I spotted a fire egg at the bottom of the canyon and went to check it out. Level 160? Yes, please? I found another nest very close by, and oh my god, a level 175? My luck is crazy today. If that wasn't enough, I found another level 160 fire egg on my way out, so I would say we're sitting golden for future generations of wyverns. When I got back, I popped those bad boys in the fridge alongside their icy brother, and I ran the loot cave for a while. I stopped for a moment to come back and greet the first baby Rex of the series, who I will name once he fully matures. Remember to comment below if you want one named after you. Then I went back to the loot cave more because I love loot, and my new grinder is amazing. Day 40 was pretty much a reset day for me. I resupplied on resources, bred my Parasaurs more, and set down the Ice Wyvern and 175 Fire Wyvern eggs to incubate. I got more Wyvern's milk, but there's no need to show that process again. And that's pretty much it, guys. For the next 10 days, I will be exclusively preparing for Day 50, the Ice Queen fight. So be sure to subscribe so you can see how that goes. Thank you all for your support, and a huge thank you if you actually watched all the way to the end of the video. But that's it for me, guys, and have a wonderful rest of your day.